It was a foggy evening when Sarah checked into the old Grandview Hotel, nestled deep in the mountains. The place had a reputation. Locals whispered about eerie sightings, strange noises, and an unsolved mystery from decades ago. But Sarah, eager to escape her hectic life for a weekend, dismissed the rumors as mere folklore. As she entered the dimly lit lobby, a cold draft sent shivers down her spine. The receptionist, an elderly man with a weathered face, handed her the key to room 313, his eyes never quite meeting hers. Exhausted from her journey, Sarah decided to retire early. Room 313 was exactly what she expected, quaint, with a vintage charm, but something felt off. The air was heavy, and the room had a strange smell, like old wood mixed with something metallic. Ignoring the unsettling feeling, she slipped into bed. Around midnight, a soft knock echoed through the room. "Who's there?" she called out, but there was no reply. The knocking persisted, growing louder each time. Fear gripped her heart as she realized the sound was coming from the closet. Trembling, Sarah slowly approached the closet, her hand hovering over the doorknob. She hesitated, then yanked the door open, only to find it empty. But as she turned back to her bed, she froze. The air had turned icy cold, and a shadowy figure stood at the foot of her bed. It was a woman dressed in an old-fashioned gown, her face pale and eyes hollow. "Leave this place," the ghostly figure whispered, her voice echoing with sorrow and anger. The figure vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving Sarah paralyzed with fear. The next morning, Sarah, shaken but determined to uncover the truth, headed down to the lobby. She questioned the receptionist, but he avoided her gaze, mumbling something about an old legend. Frustrated, she decided to explore the hotel herself. As she wandered through the creaky hallways, she stumbled upon an old, dusty book in the library. It was a journal, filled with entries about strange occurrences and disappearances at the hotel, dating back to the early 1900s. The last entry mentioned a woman named Eliza, who was found dead in room 313. Sarah couldn't shake off the eerie feeling that the ghost she saw was connected to Eliza. Determined to find out more, she drove to the nearby town, where she met an elderly woman who had lived there her entire life. The woman confirmed Sarah's suspicions. Eliza had been a guest at the Grandview Hotel over a century ago. She was found dead in her room under mysterious circumstances, her face twisted in terror. Some say she was murdered by the hotel owner, while others believe she was driven to madness by the spirits that haunted the place. Returning to the hotel, Sarah felt an overwhelming sense of dread. That night, the knocking started again, this time louder and more insistent. The room grew colder, and the lights flickered. Then she heard it, Eliza's voice, faint and pleading, "Help me, please." The air was thick with sorrow and fear. Suddenly, the closet door slammed open, and the ghostly figure of Eliza emerged, her face contorted in anguish. "You must leave," she cried, her voice filled with desperation. Sarah could feel the weight of the past bearing down on her, suffocating her. Panicking, Sarah grabbed her things and bolted out of the room. As she raced down the hallway, the walls seemed to close in, the shadows stretching out like dark, clawing hands. She could hear Eliza's voice echoing in her ears. "Run, before it's too late." Reaching the lobby, she found the receptionist waiting for her. "You saw her, didn't you?" he asked, his voice trembling. "You're not the first, and you won't be the last. This place, it holds on to the souls of the lost. Go, while you still can." Without looking back, Sarah fled the hotel, the ghostly wails still ringing in her ears. Once she was safely back home, Sarah couldn't shake the experience. The haunting memories of the Grandview Hotel followed her everywhere. She researched the history of the hotel and discovered that many guests had reported similar experiences, though most were too afraid to speak out. The hotel had since closed its doors, but the stories lived on, whispered among those brave, or foolish, enough to seek out the supernatural. Sarah knew one thing for certain: she would never return to that cursed place. So what do you think? Would you dare spend a night at the Grandview Hotel? Stories like Sarah's are a chilling reminder that sometimes the past refuses to stay buried. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more terrifying tales that will keep you up at night. And remember, the next time you check into a hotel, you might want to ask about its history first.